Hello everyone. Today we are going to install our data science software packages on Ubuntu software on Ubuntu operating system. The steps we will follow here will apply to any Linux like operating system like Mac OS. On Windows, these steps should be very similar, so you can attempt that there as well. So we will start with installing Miniforge. What is Miniforge? The data science libraries became available as part of an ecosystem called Anaconda, which was a bigger ecosystem. With that emerged from a smaller ecosystem called Miniconda. And since Anaconda software has become commercial early 2024, those libraries are not free anymore, especially for bigger organizations. So you have a fully open source alternative, which is called Miniforge. And another difference is that Anaconda software is hosted on a Conda servers, while Miniforge is hosted on Conda Forge servers. After Miniforge is installed, we will start installing any desired libraries. In this case, it will be pandas, and there will be another library called IPY kernel, and that is mainly used to make this conda environment available into a environment like VS Code. IPY kernel is an interactive Python environment which allows you to interact with Python in a browser. Especially it is useful when we want to draw plots and charts while interacting with Python. In the end, we can optionally configure GitHub Copilot, which gives you a Gen AI experience while writing code within VS Code. Okay, let's get started here. This is my Ubuntu desktop, and I have already opened this Conda Forge page on GitHub. And from there, you have to download the relevant binaries. In this case, I'll be downloading the x8664 flavor, and I have already downloaded it on my machine under downloads folder. So to install this, I have to make sure where I can install it. So let me check where I have enough space. Okay, as you can see, I have about this location slash run. It has available space 1.6 GB. Let's try to install it at this location. It's gonna ask me where to install this. Accepting the terms here. I'm going to select slash run. Okay, it has started unpacking itself. Miniforge is getting installed here. We will create a new virtual environment. Let's first check what has been installed under Miniforged folder. Under bin folder, you can see it has all the binaries. I can invoke conda from here, but I need to add it to my path as well so I can run it from anywhere else. So let's modify that in my startup profile. I'm going to add the path and export it, save it, and then run it. Okay, now I should be able to run it from any other location. Let's move up one folder and try to run it. Okay, this is in the path now. Let's create our first environment for conda and call it data science. Once this is started or installed, I can activate this environment. Let's do conda activate command with the name of the environment, which is data science here. It's asking me to do a conda init first. I will now try to activate. It is also asking me to, for changes to take effect, close and reopen your current shell. So let's start a new shell here. Okay, conda activate data science. Okay, now you can see that data science is showing up in the front of the prompt. It means it is active now. For this virtual environment, let's check the version of Python installed by default. It is 3.12. Now let's install some libraries. It will be conda install -y pandas. -y switches so that it does not ask you for a confirmation message. Otherwise, it will ask you whether you really want to install these libraries or not. Okay, it has been installed. Now, whether you want to see what is already part of your virtual environment, what libraries are there, you will do a command conda list. You can see the list of all the available libraries, and pandas is one of those. Since panda is installed, we'll move to IPY kernel. Let's do conda install -y IPY kernel. As I said in the beginning, IPY kernel is needed so that we can have a web browser-like interface which is going to be used from vscode. IPY kernel is installed. Let's move on to install vscode. The command to install is sudo snap install code code is basically VS Code, and here it is asking me to use a classic option. So I'm just going to add that here. Code is installed. Let's start up code just by typing code. Okay, VS Code has been started here. Let's make it bigger here. You can select the dark theme and close the welcome screen. Now we have to install certain plugins. One of them is Python. It has started installing. Let's try to find Jupyter. Jupyter allows you to run Python commands in a web browser kind interface in a line by line fashion. Now I'll try to create a new file, and it is giving me an option which is Jupyter Notebook. Let's do a simple command: import pandas as pd, shift enter. It is asking me which Python environment. Let's pick first one, which is Python environments. And here you can see it is showing me data science IPython 3130. This is the one that we created from command line once we created the virtual environment using MenuForge. I'll pick this environment and I will run this command one more time. This has run. Let's write some basic pandas code just to verify it. I have some code pasted here for pandas. Let's inspect the data frame. And now we have this tabular data. One more thing I would like to add here is that instead of installing libraries in our MiniForge environment, you can do them in one shot. So let's find so for example, there's a requirements.txt file which has a list of libraries that has already been compiled. If I pick this library, I can use it to install all of them in a scripted fashion. Let's try conda install -help. It should give us the option where we can pass in a file or a list of dependencies or libraries. Here you see -file is the option that we can use. So let's create a file first. Okay, this list is ready now. I will save it and I will say conda install dash y dash file dependencies.txt. Okay, this time it worked because it went down to some extent. Okay, this is because of the space, no space left on device. So we leave it here, but you got the idea that if you have a, a file which lists of dependencies or libraries, you can install it with this option.